within what and because I'm going to do some copying and pasting and what can go where and all that. I have it clearly defined in front of me. So if what to do is equal to 3, that wasn't an oops. If what to do is equal to 4, if what to do is equal to 5, and if what to do is equal to 6. I recorded this tutorial earlier, almost all of it got kind of interrupted, and decided I wanted to do it a different way, so I re-recorded it. And this is one of the major mistakes I made. I spent like 10 minutes counting these things and getting it ordered right because something wasn't working right and stuff. So I just decided I'm just going to do not all that, but I'm going to do all this ahead of time, and that hopefully should make it more straightforward for where the code goes for stuff. So if what to do is equal to 1, then we're going to do a system.out.println bunch of hyphens. It's with a text-based kind of game like this. It's not really a game. Well, it's technically a game. It's nice to have kind of clear-cut separators for stuff. That should be good. I'm of course going to copy and paste that into the other one so that I'm consistent with my amount of hyphens for whenever else I use that. So actually, I could just declare a string of that and then print that string. But whatever. System.out.println. We are working on leveling attack, which we do by generating random numbers until we get a specific one. So that's how we're going to level attack. Same with strength, same with defense, same with constitution. With constitution I'm going to make it a little easier, with defense I'm going to make it a little harder to show you how to do that. Not just by changing the numbers with making defense harder. I'm going to make it so it has to generate that number. It has to generate 3 numbers that are the same. Like it has to, integer A, integer B equals random.nextInt 2000. Integer C, and I'd use numbers much bigger than 2000. Integer C equals integer random.nextInt 2000. And then I'd have to do that again 2 more times, if you know what I'm saying. So I'll probably do that for defense. So we're working on leveling attack, which we do by generating random numbers until we get a specific one. Then we're going to have a double called level attack, not attack level, but level attack. And set that equal to random. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to have a double called level equals random.nextInt. I'm going to give it, how many zeros was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 20 million. Yeah, might as well. If I was actually going to distribute this game for people to play, I would make that 2 billion. Or 2,100,000,000 or something. But 2,100,000,000, 147,000,000, blah, 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 the maximum integer can hold, no. But I would probably do that just because to make it a little harder, but for these purposes we don't want to be staring at it for 2 minutes while it tries to level attack to see if it worked. So I'm just going to make that smaller. Might increase it later. So double level equals random.nextInt. We're gonna, and I use double here. You don't have to use double. You could use integer because this is an integer that's generating. I chose not to. I could if I wanted to. It doesn't really matter, considering today's computers, how much RAM they have and everything. It's really not a problem whether you declare a couple numbers a double when they really could have been an int. It's irrelevant. Double temp is equal to 0. Double count conut. Count gen is equal to 0. Double total, or let's see, I'll do count total equal to 0. Actually, we don't need to define that as equal to anything. You'll see why. So we'll say while level is not equal to temp, we want to do this. We want to say that temp is equal to random.nextInt 20 million. Then we're going to add 1 to count gen every time that happens. And if in fact count gen gets to be equal to say 5 million, Yep, 5 million. 15, 5, 50, 5, good enough. Then count total equals count total plus count gen. I would like to make the point that you might say, well, but then why is it not like that? May not have been initial. Oh, I guess I will have to initialize it as something. Okay, so I thought I wouldn't because I was just, but yeah, because I'm adding it to that. So basically, what you might say, well, but if it's at 700, so if it's at 7 million, then count total is still equal to 5 million. Yeah, but we're only using count total to print out the number that they're currently on, and we only do that when count gen is a multiple of 5 million, in which case count total will be updated. So it really doesn't matter. If we were going to later use that by saying we have generated plus count total plus space numbers in order to generate, if we were going to do that later and we wanted an exact number, we would of course add one to count total every time we added one to count generate right here. So, but we're not, so we can just leave it in here. So we're going to do our system.out.println. We are still working and have generated plus count total plus numbers. Notice the space there for aesthetic purposes. That way it's not concatenated. That way the concatenation doesn't appear smushed together, even though it technically is, because that space is still a character. So then we're going to set count gen equal to 0, or else we'll only get one of these warnings, and then it's going to go away. Not really warning, more caution, more info. So then outside of here, we're going to say that stats. So every time this completes, stat 0 is equal to stats 0 plus 1. Why do we do that? Because it's leveling stat 0, which is the attack thing. And so we are going to then write that information to a file. So try print writer out equals new print writer file. Remember, we don't need to redeclare. We don't need to do, file f equals new file of stats.txt or file equals new file stats.txt, because we already declared an object file. So now we're going to do our out while integer a equals 5. Oh, we already used a. Integer q equals 5, and then while q is greater than 0, then we will do out.println stats actually, you know what, we should do q is equal to 0, and while q is less than 6. That way we have out.println stats q. So the first one is stats 0. Second one is stats 1. Oh, that should be 5. Third one, so it would be out.println stats 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it'll all of a sudden be magically 5 after we do this q++. Then all of a sudden it'll magically be 5, not magically, but it'll be 5, in which case this won't run, so it won't be writing stats of subscript 5, which doesn't exist, by the way. So we'll have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is 5 things that will be writing to the file. I think personally a better way than out.println stats subscript 0, out.println stats subscript 1, out.println stats subscript 2, just because it's more scalable. I mean, you could say, well, that's 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is also 5 lines. Yes, but if you decide to have 10 skills, this would stay 5 lines. So, pays off in the long run if you're looking for expandability. But if you're looking for ease of programming, you might want to consider the out.println stats subscript 0, out.println stats subscript 1, out.println stats subscript 2, etc. We do, of course, after this need to do our out.close so that it writes that information to the file. And then we will do catch IO exception E, and we'll do system.out.println error. Custom error messages are so much fun. So then out what? No. So then out here, out here, we'll do our system.out.println. You have leveled up attack. Be consistent here, which is now level plus stats subscript 0, just like that. And then I'm going to copy and paste this so I can be consistent. C Command V. So here we have, if we run this, I'd like to note there's no stats.txt file right there right now. Run it. At this point, stats.txt exists, has content, 11110. I'm going to level attack. Attack leveled. Ta-da, there's a 2 there now. Now, if we wanted this to take a little longer, we would, of course, make this, add an extra 0, an extra 0. Let's run that again. It should take 10 times as long. Level attack. And it still wasn't really noticeable. Let's add another 0. There we go. See, now it's taking a little while to level. And once it generates that number again, it'll move on to the actual level that happened, that occurred, leveling that occurred. Tick tock, tick tock. It will eventually finish. I'd like to point that out right now, unless we made a mistake in typing how many zeros were there, in which case we have a 9 out of 10 chance of this not working. If it's 1 0 off, or 9 out of 100 chance if it was 2 zeros off with this one. If this one was, if this one was too small, or this one was too big, but if this one was too big and this one was too small, it'd just take that much longer, because this one would still have that in its range. It would just have a larger amount than this in its range, so it would take longer than you would expect looking at that number. Okay, see, it leveled it. That's 4. If we look at stats.txt, that says 4 now, so we're perfect. If we type anything else too, the program just goes back to here because we haven't put any. That's what I like about this. Watch. Oops. Well, anyway, it's when you type in a number and it finishes with what it's doing, including doing nothing, then it'll go back to the original. So watch. So if I type in 7 here, it's not told to do anything, so it just goes back to this because guess what? I'm done, and oh look, a is still larger than 0. Let's do this again. So if I type in the wrong number, 0.99, boom. Since that wasn't an applicable one, just back to the beginning. It's not matter anything. So that's kind of a nice error handling system there. For if someone types in 0.99 instead of just hanging there, it just brings this back up again, basically implying that, you know, the number you entered wasn't one that I recognized. Try again. So if what to do is equal to 2, this is going to be leveling defense. So we're going to print that out. Then system.out.println, we are working on leveling defense. To do so, we generate random numbers until we get the same number, UMBER 5 times. And so, println, print nt. Trying to type too fast, I guess. So we're going to have some of this is going to just carry over. I can copy paste it from here. This stuff I can copy paste more later. Oops, count total is also included in that. Copy, and right here paste, because that's still applicable. And then we're going to say double how many is equal to 5 is equal to 0, and we're going to say that while how many is less than 5, because that'll give us the time it's running when it's 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Counted that up, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5. So it'll do this. So while how many is less than 5, it'll then do while, nested while level is not equal to temp. Level is not the actual level of anything. It's an integer it's a integer or a double in this case that the system has to get again in order to level. So it's like more a requirement for leveling. But I want to say double requirement integer for leveling. It's just, you know, double level is easier. And it might confuse the person trying to read your code, which, if that is a hacker, is a good thing. And if it's a coworker, then just explain it to them. So while level is not equal to temp, we're going to actually, we can copy and paste this whole while level is not equal to temp thing, because it's basically the same. This part, actually, it is exactly the same. So we can just copy and paste that right in. Ta-da! And so after that, so while level is not equal to temp, it'll do all this stuff, and then at the end of this, while level is not equal to temp, but still inside the while how many is less than 11, I'd like to note, we're going to add 1 to how many, like that. How many plus plus semicolon. And then we're going to set level defense to random.next int make sure I'm not the off by 1 0 error. Off by a factor of 10 or more error. Oh, actually, that's just level. Silly me. In my previous code, I did level defense, level attack, level strength. So just looking at it real quick, I could tell what I'm leveling, but it should be obvious enough by the what to do. So, oh, look at that. This is in the wrong one. It should be here. Just copy and paste it over. There we go. Okay, so it's still fine. So then we add 1 to how many. So how many is then 1 closer to being less than 5, or is equal to 5, in which case, well, it's still less than 5, but how many is 1 closer to 5, or it is 5, in which case this will not run anymore. And then once it's done with that, so outside of here, outside of that whole while loop here, because boom, 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 boom. So outside of here, then I'm going to say stats subscript 1 is equal to stats subscript 1 plus 1, because we're leveling it up. And I'm going to delete that space. Those spaces there, we don't need them. There's a lot of places where I use spaces where you don't need them. It just kind of helps aesthetically, but there it actually looks goofy. So then we're going to do our try to write thing. This here. So we're writing the new information to the file. Copy it down to here. Copy. And where? Here. Wait, no. Here. Paste. Because if we put that outside of there, it'd be outside of this initial while a is greater than 0 loop, I think. Pretty sure it would be. Where is it? While, no, it's not there. It's further down, right here. So this is not attack, this is defense. So I would also, and this is stats 1 instead of 0. We don't need to change the writing thing because it's writing all of them, so it's the same for all of them. It's writing all the values: attack, strength, defense, constitution, and battle wins. So we don't have to change anything there. So I think that's about it for that. I'm going to also put a system.out.println here, just for display purposes. Out.println how many, so we can see that how many actually does raise. If this does not work, I will have to look at my code again and see what I'm doing wrong. What's that button? Toggle. I'll have to figure that out later. So notice it says 4 right there, and I just started the program because it read it from the file to level defense. Okay, so see that 0, 0 there, and all those 0, 0s are referring to the value how many. So pretty soon that should turn to 1, but it'll keep going, turn to 2 and keep going, etc. If everything actually works the way it's supposed to. We're just waiting. You know, I really should make this smaller for our purposes. Okay, like that. Okay, let's try that again. That way it moves faster. Okay, so see? Oh, okay, so look at this. So it skipped right to 2. That's okay, because if we ran it again, it probably wouldn't. But the thing is that within that 5 million, it actually generated that number that it needed twice, so it got up to 2 that quickly, which is not impossible, certainly. Then you never see 5, because once it gets to 5, it doesn't run that. So I'm just going to delete that. But obviously that does work properly. So we can increase this number like that. And now